Welcome to episode 20 of The Fellowship. This is the Nation Desert Classic recap episode. We're going to do our best to make this podcast inclusive and applicable to anyone and everyone, especially those that weren't at the tournament. But it's a bit of an inside podcast, so if you were there, you're really going to enjoy it. If you weren't there, you're going to be very motivated to be there next year. I'd like to welcome in my resident guest and the brains behind the 14-year running Nation Desert Classic, Ryan Engle. I think they did.
Please hold me.
Or you can edit some in, Patrick. Patrick Hardy is here.
We'll do that in post.
We'll do it in post. Patrick Hardy is here. He came out with us to the desert.
And Adam Hawk threw his back out.
Well, I didn't throw mine out.
You threw Patrick's out.
But that needs some context because that sounds a little weird.
Truth be told, Adam and Patrick spent the whole day together, so you guys can use your imagination.
Okay, well, no, I'm going to prevent them from using their imagination. I was driving around a golf cart as Patrick was taking pictures. I misjudged the curb, bottomed it out, and now Patrick limped in here using a golf club as a cane. True story.
Adam Hawk, truth be told, top 3 worst drivers of any moving vehicle I've ever seen in my life.
And I'm not here to debate that. My wife would agree with you. Anyone that's been in the car would agree with you. I have this odd, weird, misguided feeling in my head that I am one of the best drivers ever.
Yeah.
It's odd. I really do feel like I'm one of the best ever.
I feel like that carries over in a lot of things in your life.
Yes. Let's take this from the top because we are going to recap here, and we do want to talk about what happened this past weekend. May 6th, May 7th, Nation Desert Classic. For the first time ever, this tournament had a draft and a draft party attached to it, meaning that 30 team captains selected 3 players to round out the foursome. What made you want to do the draft?
Well, historically, that's how my grandfather ran his tournament for 30 years. It was, you would enter as a single. It was always formal mail-in invites. The
invites came in the mail.
Yes.
Yes.
And you would respond with your check, and you would write in if you were an A, B, C, or D player. The A players, top, were chosen as team captains. Then he did a player draft party. And at the time, I remember, being younger and a lot mentally in the golf space, like most people view the game nowadays, very self-centered, and thinking about score and swing and performance and your own experience rather than realizing that you don't play golf by yourself, you play it with 3 other people, and your experience should never negate those around you.
Yes.
And so I was similar in that, right, where it was, every year I was like, God, why, I want to play with Uncle Bob, or I want to play with Dad, or I want to play with this. Fast forward, wow. You mature a little bit, you look back, hindsight's always 20/20, and I quickly learned how lucky I was to have met 3 different sets of my grandpa's friends for 7 years in succession in the tournament.
Yeah.
And when I first started the tournament, I started hours in my grandfather's honor, younger than he was. And so the early years were, figuring it out. We would rent the biggest and cheapest house we could. Didn't matter how far away it was. And the shtick was sign up, crash at my place. Mm-hmm. So we had these unbelievable party pads, and fast forward through the years, it's like now there's families with babies and wives and houses rented on the fairways, traditions. We stay out there all week, go to each other's houses for dinner and do cove runs. And it's really turned into what I've always dreamt it to be. And we just finally got to this milestone, and I thought, what better year to finally mature the audience and graduate into my grandfather's true system in celebrating his 50th anniversary. So it was, I felt like it went off great. Trying to control a bunch of idiots in a room, a ballroom.
Yeah.
Yelling and screaming. It was really fun. Mm-hmm. I think everyone felt the energy, and man, the overall feedback that was spoken to our faces.
Yeah.
Was really well.
Mm-hmm.
People got to meet people. I've exchanged texts and emails with a number of guys who have been doing the tournament for years, and they're like sharing screenshots of texts with each other. Like, I made a lifelong friend this weekend.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just power. You know, that's the power of the fellowship, and that's our whole, you know, mantra and reasoning behind doing what we do. And boy, we sure celebrated it this weekend.
Absolutely. So for those that don't know, the tournament takes place at Indian Wells Country Club. Most of our core group is out on the coast. So it's about an hour and a half drive out there, which means people are staying. And for the first time ever with this draft party, it brought people into town and around each other one day early. And pardon me the redundancy, I've made this analogy to you a few times, but it was almost like adding a rehearsal dinner to a wedding. And it became the ultimate icebreaker because we asked the players this year to do something we've never asked them to do, which is to enter as a single and get drafted to a team with people you potentially don't know, which is kind of a stressful endeavor. You're driving out, you're spending this money, you might be playing with people that you've never met before. That adds something to the golf game that can, you know, be perceived as a negative, but we knew it was going to be a positive, which is why we did it. When the time came Friday night for everyone to come into the draft party, which was held in the Bob Hope and Dolores Ballroom, credit to you for locking that down for the tournament. Amazing coup that you pulled off there, and thank you to Indian Wells for having us. When we originally came up with the concept of the draft party, we anticipated that maybe half the field would come to it. Almost every single player showed up to the draft. And it became, for lack of a better term, and not in a negative way, an absolute shit show. Because we had never put it on before. You were speaking over a PA, trying to talk over 120 people that were talking amongst themselves. It was a good problem to have because it wasn't a bunch of people hiding in the corner from each other. They were immediately mixing it up. We did something that could have been perceived as a little lame, but it actually turned out to be great. We put name tags on everybody. So everybody wore a name tag.
And boy, did that help me.
Yeah, didn't it? It helped me too. All these people that have been talking to us on Instagram for a year, but we don't know their faces, and they're great people and huge fans of the brand, and we knew their name, and the team captains got to know their name. So my favorite part of the draft was, as people were talking in the audience, the captain would come up after just having a conversation with one of them and draft that person because they had instantly hit it off, and they're like, hey, I just spent 2 minutes with you, I want to spend 4 hours with you tomorrow. So it was really special to watch those friendships start right away on Friday night.
Yeah, man, it went by so fast too. One thing I'd like to implement moving forward is we used to do like a Board of Governors dinner the Friday the night before. So I'd like to figure a way to kind of shower those guys, and especially our volunteers who help us so much during the tournament. But that being said, what I really enjoyed the most this year was seeing how many more of the players brought a +1. It was really cool seeing the wives, you know, dressing up a little bit, having some wine, chalking it up, seeing their fellow lads act like, you know, barbarians with their shirts tucked in, and it just really added to the experience, in my opinion, and especially Saturday night's dinner. I mean, we sold a record +1s this year. We filled up the entire ballroom. It's always nice to meet the woman behind the man, and get to know people as they really are, rather than just, you know, the guy off his leash. You know?
Right.
So I thought that was really cool. Just like everything, and with the tournament in general, I always just beat myself up every year on how to make it better the next year. You know, and I can't wait to debrief on everything with everybody and go through and make the draft party even better next year.
Yeah.
That being said, Ammunition Whiskey sponsored our event, and our plan was to have equal parts whiskey for the draft party and the golf tournament the next day. I'm not a mathematician, but there was roughly 115 to 120 people at the draft party. We had 20 bottles of whiskey, and they were gone about 3/4 of the way through the night.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yeah, for a number of reasons.
Yes.
Yep.
There was a record amount of low ball cocktail glasses broken.
Yeah.
Which is why the staff went to plastic cups for Saturday night.
Right.
So I had no quarrels with that.
Yeah. On Friday we had glassware. On Saturday they downgraded us to plastic.
I'm still trying to figure out how much whiskey was consumed per person.
Yeah. Well, it's tough.
That's a tough one.
But let's speak to that for a second. So we partnered with Ammunition. We spoke to them beforehand, and we said we need X amount of bottles. We're going to divvy up half for the draft, half for the day of, and then we need some for awards. When we had told them how much we needed, we had not yet calculated the RSVPs for the draft party. Huge mistake.
Yeah.
That's mistake number one.
Yeah.
Mistake number two, we brought out every single bottle for the draft party. Mm-hmm. So far, 2 strikes against us.
Yeah. If you put the room full of gold coins in front of Scrooge McDuck, he's going to go swimming.
Yep, and he takes them all. Yes, exactly. Well said. But also a testament to Ammunition. I don't think 20 bottles of Jim Beam are going to go like that. This is amazing whiskey.
Oh, everybody spoke. I mean, they were stunned at how good this stuff was, you know?
And so they hit it hard.
Yeah.
They finished all the whiskey, and actually, I'm so pissed that I don't remember who brought it, but someone brought like a gallon of Buffalo Trace as a gift to you and I. I left it on the table because I was helping you with the draft, and I was leaving the party, and I was like, damn, I forgot that gift. I don't want to be the guy that leaves a gift behind. The person who gave it to me sees it. They think, wow, that really didn't matter to him. But we've got a million things going through our mind.
Yeah.
So I pack up the kids, I'm leaving, I go, crap, I got to run in and go grab that.
Empty.
Well, I run in, and I'm looking for it, and I'm like, where is this? Where is this? And everyone just points right at Colin Emery. And Colin's sitting in the back of a golf cart just chugging from this giant bottle of whiskey, and it's down to about that much. And he's like, hey, Hawk, you don't mind, do you? I'm like, no, have a good time, Colin. First guy who signed up for the tournament.
Great. Colin, I've always loved Colin, but in recent years, especially very recently, he has just like, not that he needed to, but he's matured into this character that is just so fun, happy-go-lucky, is ready to just go head first into a good time. And he is just a true ambassador of the fellowship. I leaned on him for a couple things this year, on his opinion on some things, and he helped me. Just signing up for the tournament early, being excited, being stoked to jump on the thing. It's like he flew the flag, and cheers to him on that. Major Man of the Year points he got this year. And besides that, he's a skateboarder, carpenter. He's got his own little things going. And because I'm not taking credit, but because of his years coming out for the tournament and where he's kind of channeled his direction as a grown man, he's fallen in love with the game. And he's always bringing his friends to go play random courses all the time. And for me, knowing that, this tournament, my grandfather's legacy, has given people a platform to fall in love with the game and take it in their, package it and take it and gift it to their kind of web of friendships and whatnot. That's where I just really get stoked.
Yeah.
The tournament's great. The brand's cool. I'm passionate about all of it. But watching people fall in love with the game from that, or maybe that helped push them further, or however you want to chalk it up. It's guys like Colin that really keep me happy knowing I'm on the right path, and we're doing something special for a lot of people.
No doubt. So Friday, the draft party was a major success. Everyone loved it. It was loud. It was crazy. It was a shit show. There was so much whiskey consumed, but it was great. And then everyone goes home and they get ready for the next day. Now, they're kind of like the kids sleeping on Christmas morning, and we're the parents that have to get up early and put the presents under the tree. So it's a totally different experience for everybody else than it is for you and I, and especially you. Why don't you tell the people what Saturday morning entails? Because when you drive over the bridge to Indian Wells Country Club and you see a banner and you see one of the most elaborate tent setups ever, and there are nation flags as you enter the club, that stuff doesn't get set up by accident. There were people out there in the 95-degree heat doing it. Why don't you walk people through what a Saturday morning is like setting up for this tournament the day of?
It's stressful. there's so many moving parts, and I've done it now for so long. And I used to make itineraries for the team and job delegation, checklists and stuff. And now it's like I've done it so many times. It's all in my head.
Yeah.
I basically carry like a folded up piece of paper with some bullet points, and I just shoot from the hip. And I think this is the last year I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
My father-in-law, Dave Manami, Katie Kai's dad, he is a handy guy and really smart when it comes to stuff like that. And we all went to dinner as a family Sunday night, and it was nice talking to him about stuff and how things, because he helped enormously with the tent and everything, and just from the like simple stuff like we needed more dikes, we needed more zip ties, we needed more personnel, like things that would have helped set the thing up. And my brother and I setting up the whole things. And this year I really relied on staff at the club a lot more than recent years, and I just tipped them up front and said, hey, look, I'm going to ask a lot from you today, and I just want you to know I really appreciate that. And Eric and Jerome at the cart barn, I had them running to the house, running errands, going out to the course. Paul Cox, I can't say enough about Paul Cox. He's the best director of golf I have ever worked with at any course that we've had events at. And then all the way down to the wives and the gals running the check-in. It's a freaking army.
Yeah.
And
it is.
And I used to carry that stress a lot longer. I've learned to find a way to release it. And my brother and I got the last 10 up on 6. We came back to the house to change. And I looked at him and I said, let's make a cocktail real quick. Mm-hmm. I don't even know what time it was. It might have been 8 in the morning. We've been up since 5:30.
Yep.
And I said, let's make a cocktail and let's jump in the pool.
Nice.
And we jumped in the pool and we just took 10.
Yeah.
Arms on the ledge, drank our drink, got our stuff on, and I felt like once I entered back in, I was my best self.
Yeah.
And boy, did I need that. So I'm learning, and I definitely need to keep improving on the back end and making the day go smoother. But yeah, it's a lot of work and it adds stress, but I just love every second of it.
Absolutely. You were born to do it. You're very good at it. You do have a great team. Shout out to Matthew Shadbolt.
Shaddy and Craig Dunlap are pretty much the bronze, and Dave at Manami has stepped in. They're kind of like the three horsemen that tackle the setup. And this was the first year that I didn't even touch one of the main tents, which was really hard for me. But I took Sean out on the course and we handled it. And my brother always runs around and does the course setup. Yeah. And he likes doing it himself, although it could be done twice as fast with 2 people.
Right.
But it's like his little therapy, to set up the tee markers. Some of them are on black tees, some of them are on white tees. He sets the course up, puts the signs up, and he loves doing it. And it's just amazing how it all happens with a grown man with no notes and ADHD running the show.
Right. So shout out to Shadbolt, shout out to Craig. Your father-in-law, Dave, did a great job. Ryan Preston was there helping out. Mm-hmm. He did awesome. I was there, and I'm not good with my hands. I'm not good with anything, so I just let people tell me what to do. I'll hold a banner up. Mm-hmm. I'll help set up tables. That stuff's easy. Mm-hmm. But I'm there to provide an extra pair of hands. Someone had asked me at one point during setup to text you about something, like, hey, ask Ryan if he's got duct tape. And I responded, I wouldn't text Ryan Saturday morning of the Classic if my life depended on it.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with the hell that I'm going to get back from this guy.
I pretty much ignore every text, and I have to.
Yeah.
There's just too much going on.
Yeah, and I was running errands. I was going to pick up extra beer at the store, and I had to call you and say they don't have Miller Lite, and I didn't even want to make that call. And at one point, I had to let you know, like, dude, we don't have any ammunition for photos tomorrow. This was kind of a big promise to a client. And I think your words were, I don't have time to deal with this shit, figure it out. And that's aptly put. It's like asking the groom on the wedding day, where do I park? Just figure stuff out. So we got it set up. It looked great. And then there are so many highlights, but one of the best parts is when all of the players start to descend into check-in. and you've got 120 people dressed to the nines, carrying their bags, coming to check in. They're going through the classic gals. They're getting their program. They're getting their goodie bag. They're on the range. They're drinking beer. They're drinking cocktails. And that might be the best part of the day.
The check-in, it definitely has the most energy.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of people, just like my grandfather's tournaments, it's the one time a year a lot of those guys see each other.
Yeah.
So it's got a very family reunion kind of vibe.
Yep.
And you see a lot of bear hugs. You see a lot of hard handshakes, a lot of laughter. It's just, the energy is incredible. And then we carry that over to the first tee ceremony, and you can just feel the buzz,
Yeah.
And per tradition, once everyone goes off, I take the classic gals, my brother and a couple of the helpers, and we go inside and have lunch in the air conditioning.
Yeah.
Because I need a big come down.
They might have just started their day, but you've been at it since 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And when lunchtime comes around 1, I mean, we're talking about 7-8 hours where you haven't just taken a moment for yourself. So that's a big deal. They go out, their day's just started. Your day is also just beginning, but it started a long time ago. And then it's really interesting because this year for me, I didn't play in it. I got to help co-host, which was just so much fun. Mm-hmm. Cruising around, saying hi to everybody, being kind of the glue of like, hey, I know all of you guys and you guys might not know each other. Mm-hmm. Let's just talk about some stuff to like loosen it up. How's everybody doing? What's up? That was really fun to do. So I had a great time. I was cruising around with Patrick. As mentioned, I flew off a curb, broke his back. He limped in here with a golf club cane. Things happen. What are you going to do? But that was a lot of fun cruising around. I know you cruise around with Sean. What was this year like cruising around with your brother Sean and talking to people?
It was good. We probably cruised around a little less than recent years. And it was just, sometimes it just works out that way. But we take the classic gals with us. We have a couple carts and we go, and we posted up on 6 for a little while. That's where we have our vintage blade challenge. Got to see some groups go through, some great old friends, and we kind of went backwards for a little bit and tried to run into as many people as we can. I think back to the years where I used to just go around the whole time and see everybody. Mm-hmm. I don't know how I did it. Mm-hmm. Because it gets to a point where it's like later in the day and it's like, all right, I need to get to the ballroom. I need to make some notes. We need to get the score tables ready. The job just keeps going.
Yeah.
And then while everyone's breaking cocktail glasses out, man versus boob, and hanging out under the starlights, it's like I'm down putting the tents away,
right?
Breaking everything down, which is another huge topic of discussion in the debrief. Is a breakdown crew is what we need. But yeah, it's like it's a nonstop deal. And man, I can tell you one thing: my younger years, we used to all go out that night. I do not go out anymore. I hit the pillow hard. Mm-hmm. There's like an 11 p.m. crash landing, and I can't wait for Sunday morning to just relax and listen to the water trickle and the lawnmower's buzz.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to go back to check-in for a second and give another shout-out to Mark Warman from the Golfers Journal. He's been a guest on the Fellowship. Mark...
that was an emotional touch.
It was. Mark, under our request, brought his trumpet. He played trumpet on our show before, and we asked him many months ago, could you play the national anthem at the opening tee ceremony for the Classic? He was so excited to be asked, and I'm sure you noticed this, but he had told me in private, I'm not playing this straight up because of where we are and because of the vibe here. I'm going to add a jazzy, swinging touch to it. And he was absolutely just getting it on the trumpet. And it was a beautiful, very apropos 1950s jazzy version of...
There's some do-si-dos and whirly-birds in there.
Yes.
And I loved every second.
It was a great version of the anthem. And we didn't tell people that was going to happen. We just said, you said... gentlemen, please remove your caps, and Mark Warman, would you come up here? Mm-hmm. And he grabbed the trumpet and played for 122 players in dead silence, and it's like the whole valley heard it.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
A very touching moment was when you had a moment of silence for your late father. That was wow. That was unbelievable. I also just want to say that the players were so respectful of what was happening. you didn't need to tell them what was happening. They took their hats off right away, and they went silent for 10 seconds. This is a group that wouldn't shut the hell up the night before, and you could hear a pin drop. It was an amazing tribute, and I mean, you don't have to get into it if you don't want to, but what was that like, that moment?
I mean, it had to happen. He's been to every one, and this was the first one he missed, but in a lot of ways he was there more than ever before, and I think it was great. It was a great tribute, and I think the guys liked it, That's I think what separated this year from years past is there was an emotional level to it all.
Yeah.
Being my grandfather's anniversary, and a tribute to my dad, and it added an element to the gathering that we haven't really had since the 9th annual tournament when we celebrated my grandfather's passing. But it's a trip. When I pull back and look at everything as a whole, and think about, the first year they started it in '73 and just where we are now, and I know I'm making them proud. And, our physical bodies are here for a short time, and I think life's a test, and we got to keep showing up and taking the test and bettering ourselves, and I know we're doing that. And I look forward to keep moving on.
Well said.
Yeah.
So the tournament was fantastic. We cruised around. We hung out with people. They got drunk. They played some great golf. They formed lifelong friendships. Every single group told me the same thing that they told you. These guys are now lifelong friends of mine. They had met the night before. Now they're playing golf together. They're friends. They're on group text. It's just such a great feeling. Trevor Baird of Trevor's at the Tracks told me that Trent Junkin, a guy that he had never met before, physically made him hurt because he was laughing so hard the entire time. This is a guy who he's never hung out with, and then he was like, I had the best group ever. Yeah. And I'm like, I believe you, but about 20 other groups have told me they have the best group ever, which was just awesome. And to cruise around and see everybody just having a great time with people they had just met, very special to you and I because the plan worked. We knew it was going to work, but it required a level of trust in the players to spend the money, make the drive, and play with strangers. And it paid off. And it paid off because as we went to the ballroom for dinner, as we're taking this chronologically, now it's dinner time, where everyone sits down, they're treated to a Mexican buffet, and they sit down at the tables. There weren't cliques. No one went to go hang out with their foursome like in years past. That whole group was mixing. And it's just like they didn't want the party to end. And that was great. And you brought Palmer on stage and made your speeches holding your daughter. I got to imagine that felt pretty good.
Yeah, it was cool. I was stoked she wasn't scared, know. But we got some classic photos from Patrick, just her giving the stink eye, And,
right. Well, she's an Engle, so she saw a microphone and she fell in love. What are you going to do?
And the end of the night's, I think, probably the most special. The awards, the banter, booing first place.
Yeah.
It's an interactive awards ceremony.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And then the man versus boob, or man boobs, whatever you want to call it.
Is that a shot at me?
I don't know whose man boobs are better, yours or my brother's, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I heard you're on a diet and working on it, so good for you for that.
Yep.
God hates a quitter. But anyways, the awards dinner is awesome. I look forward to that the most every year. This one was especially hard just because I shared a story of myself and my dad and my grandpa, and it's hard. It's not very often that I can't get the words out, if you can believe that. I'd like to think I did a good job, but it was a special one. It's gonna be hard to top this year, but I'm gonna try.
Yeah, and absolutely. And for the record, for everyone watching that was or wasn't there, you did tell me yesterday that this was the best one. Of 14 that have been thrown, you said this was the best one. And that's not to denigrate any of the
There were some good ones too.
Right, and that's not to denigrate the people that weren't there or to say that it was made better by the people there. It just had a different vibe to it that was downright special. And I want to stay on the awards dinner for a second. Let's talk about some of the winners who we can remember. Jordan Borad won Best Dressed. I know that meant a lot to him. He does run an account called Vintage Golfwear. So he won Best Dressed for wearing a Steve Elkington shirt, which shows a lot about us to award somebody who wasn't wearing Nation for being Best Dressed. And congratulations, Jordan. You earned it. G off Overstreet, Extreme, Long Drive.
Yeah, he probably cheated, but...
Of course.
Yeah.
And first place was Colin Emery and 3 other sticks. Do you remember who was on that team?
Was Colin?
Not Colin Emery,
No.
Cole Eby.
Cole Eby, and he had some sticks on there. That kid Carly and...
Carly Gilchrist.
Yeah, and God, I forgot the other guy's name. I know him. He's a business partner, is one of my best friends. Anyway, sorry, I'm drinking scotch at 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
That was cool. They got violently booed.
Which was great.
Last place was great. I think we had the lowest scoring last place team, and there was a card off for last place.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments from the day is in my peripheral, I see Paul Cox at the scoring table with my brother. And, Paul Cox has run a million fucking tournaments.
Right.
And when I mentioned that, well, guys, for last place, we actually had a card off, I saw him just like knee slap, belly laugh, like lean over, like, what PGA pro has ever been in a ballroom watching a tournament speech go down and hearing about a card off for last place?
Right. And
I mean, that's got to be a first,
It's got to be a first.
And it was for 1 under par. So, the format proved for, my grandpa famously said, and I'm going to butcher it, paraphrase here, but in his final 30th annual, he put this beautiful book together in the invitations, and it had like a gold cord binding to it, had all the past winners, and then like a little letter, and in the letter he said, like when we came from our trip in Hawaii and started our scramble tournament, the scramble format was new to golf at the time, but we learned that it not only created a fun and competitive event, but by doing the team captain thing, it really, coined the phrase to meet and enjoy the fellowship. And it's true, it made the field a little more competitive. It made the winning score not so crazy low,
right,
and it made the losing score a little better.
Really damn good.
So there was a lot of guys right there, and that's great. I mean, we've all been to them. You go to these, money grab fundraisers, and good for them. I know they're doing it for a good cause. We've been to a million of them, and someone comes in with like 29 under, and these guys are up there and like, everyone's just stiff as a board, and it's like you go home and like enjoy your box of wine, like
right,
cool story.
Yeah.
This isn't that, and we're proud of that, know, and that's not to dog on anybody, but what we do have is different and it is special, and we really, really work hard at making it so. It's just, man, I always said this, that my calendar year starts and ends with the Nation Desert Classic, and we're just recovering from New Year's Eve, and it's time to start planning the next one. So
right, absolutely.
And shame on everyone who's like, you should do a couple of these a year. It's like, I would die.
Right, yeah, it's too much, but it also makes it more special that there's only one on that last place team. A couple of our good friends, and I apologize that we're not remembering everything that happened, but Shea Tredewick, yeah,
Tom Evans, Tommy Deliscu, and Ryan Preston.
Yeah, what a team.
Yeah, great team.
Yes.
They had a ball, and I don't know how they shot so bad, because Tommy's a hell of a player, but I know Tommy gets it.
Yes.
When it comes to the Nation Desert Classic.
Right.
And I'm sure he focused on fun over score.
And it was really cool to see Tommy De La Soul and Tom Evans just 2 weeks after we had seen them for 4 days in a row at the powwow. And it's like, here we are again back at the club. Yeah. What's going on? So that was great. I don't remember who won closest to the pin. Do you?
Whew. It's a great... I have no idea. Someone won it, and it was with an old... what was great, every year I bring out an old set of blades for Arnie's hole.
Number 6.
Because it's like, if you're going to win it there, or by God, get a hole in one year, it better be with period correct equipment from Arnie's. And over the years, every set I bring out there, they either get bent, stolen, broken, what have you. These guys, I mean, it's a bull in a china shop, this tournament, you know. And I realized last minute that the old Arnie blades that I had were basically shot.
Yeah.
You know, because only 3 of the clubs really get used. We put the whole set out there. And good friend Tyler Meadows, his dad Walt, can't play anymore due to like age and health, but he was way into golf during the era that we love so much. And he gifted us all of his old stuff. He's a huge fan of the show, the brand. I want to give a special shout out to Walt Meadows. Appreciate everything you donated to us, and we used your old Ben Hogan Apex irons for the closest to the pin. And I spent some time on 6 during the day, and it's fun watching guys use old equipment with sharp leading edges, no bounce, and a little extra loft.
Yeah.
Some slippery grips.
Yep.
You know, and a nice stiff steel shaft.
Yeah.
There was some turf dug.
Yeah, I bet.
On that tee box, and I was quick with the sand seed fill.
Yeah.
But, you know, the club survived this year.
Yeah.
Which is great. And, man, that was special. Him and his son came to the rescue this year, and we got some good clubs out on that hole, so thank you to those guys. And it's just more of an example of how this family or this tournament is a family thing. Mm-hmm. And everyone, I think, feels a part of it just being there, you know?
Yeah.
It's, I don't know who won it, but somebody did.
Well, speaking of number 6 and speaking of family, that's actually where my family and I went first. We went to number 6. We ate lunch out there under the tent. Patrick was with us. My kids were actually pulling clubs for players as they were coming through, so that was special. Cool. They were standing at the bag, giving them clubs. They were having a good old time. You put a 2-year-old to an 8-year-old in a golf cart, and it's better than a trip to Disneyland. It was so much fun. My daughter Penelope was riding on my lap. I wasn't steering. I was like, hey, it's just like Crash Bandicoot racing at home on the PlayStation. Just have some fun. My wife had a great time. My son Johnny had a great time. You know, when kids are having a good time in 100-degree heat, it's a testament to how good of a time they're having, because they don't even realize how hot it is. And everyone was having a great time in the heat. And that was fun. I was giving probably some of the worst advice on number 6, too. Players were like, well, what's the club here? You know, because it is the vintage blade. And I think I was saying, like, you either got to step on a 7 or baby a 6. And you came by later, and you're like, this is an 8-iron at best.
Yeah.
If you can hit it. Because Mark Warman came through and hit a beautiful 8-iron right over the stick, a little bit far, but that's a player right there. Mm-hmm. Lars Lewis also hit a great shot there. Thick Gabagool hit one into the house about 5 yards forward and 20 yards left, which was very impressive. So that was a really good time. Let's wrap up the award ceremony and talk about the man versus boob, which this year was a man versus man. You decided, I don't know if it was on the fly or if it was premeditated, that you were not going to award a boob of the year. You were going to do a man and a man.
Well, yeah. I was going to award a boob had there really been one. You know, if someone wet their pants or crashed a golf cart, it's hard not to give that award away. But, you know, the man was pretty much locked, and it was going to be a good friend of mine who's struggling with some health, and he was going to still make the trip because he didn't want to miss it. But his medical treatments schedule wouldn't allow him to do it. And that hurt both of us because I really wanted to he deserved it, not just because of what he's gone through, but because of his unwavering support of everything we do, and the fact that he, you know, despite all odds against him, he was trying his absolute hardest to make it a point to just be there. Mm-hmm. You know, and it killed me that he couldn't, and it was up until the last minute. And when he couldn't, obviously I was crushed. But then I was also like, shit, what am I going to do? You know, and I literally was up on stage, and after talking about my dad, my brother caught my eye across the room, you know, and I thought about everything that he's done this past year with everything that our family's been through, and watching the man that he became and how he stepped it to the plate, and the fact that even though he moved states away, he flies out just for the weekend, just to be with me in the cart alongside for the ride. It was well deserved, and obviously, all the help behind the scenes that you have done, and the weight you've taken off my shoulders for the planning of this tournament. I think I even said it in the speech. I said, there were times where it's like, you go on vacation and you just feel that you forgot something. Mm-hmm. It's like I was so unplugged from a few of my normal tasks that it felt like I was forgetting stuff. But you had it on lock, and the liberty and the freedom that came from that was huge, and so it was just fitting to it just made sense. This year was a big celebration, and there really wasn't any room for, although it's a lighthearted joke, there wasn't really any room for any negativity, and boy did it deliver. Now that being said, the man versus man boob playoff sure could have been a little more exciting had you not wet the bed there.
Well, hang on.
So you kind of deserved boob of the year in a sense because of your play.
Hang on. We'll get to that.
I think, by the awards, chronologically, it was a co-man of the year thing, but after the playoff, it's almost like you weaseled back down into the boob category. So I think on paper, we'll still categorize you as the boob of the year.
I refuse to accept that. I'm wearing a man of the year jacket. I'm very proud of it. I texted you that I'm very proud of it. Now, I know that you like to inject humor into all of this stuff, but I will tell you. I'll tell you this. So, on a personal level, when you recognized Sean, it was amazing. You could feel the gravity of the situation. He's your brother. He's your best friend. You guys have arguably gotten closer since your dad passed. To do the podcast with you guys a couple of months ago was truly an honor. And to spend time with Sean is to spend time with one of the funniest, nicest, coolest individuals. So it's a treat. And, he's not a man of many words. I think when we taped that episode, he said like 10 words. But he didn't, just him being on the couch with you talking about your dad, it meant everything. The same way him just flying down to be in the cart with you means everything. The same way him standing on the tee box with his arms folded, not saying anything during the first tee ceremony, means everything. He's a guy that has a presence without really saying anything. Mm-hmm. And how many people in your life do you know like that, where they are, it's just, he's here. That's awesome. It makes everyone feel good. When you called him up, man, that was emotional. And the room gave him a standing ovation because, again, the same way nothing needed to be said during the moment of silence and people knew what to do, they knew what to do when you called Sean up. And when Sean came up, again, he didn't want to say anything. He passed on a speech because what does it say about a guy where it's like, I don't need to say anything, enough has been said? That was great. And then when you called me up, I mean, wow, it meant everything to me because I have a younger brother, 15 months younger than me. Nice. I've done that before.
You guys get that?
Yeah, I've done that before. We'll make sure to cut to his
Hold
camera.
that
Yep.
Hey, the great thing about Nation Golf Shirts is they're technologically formulated so that cigar ash falls right off of
That is one of the big things that we send to the factories.
Yeah,
Is make sure that it's cigar repellent.
Let's do a nice enzyme wash on this cotton so that all cigar ash just
bounces
deflects.
off. Yes, like the checks were writing these days.
I look great.
Yes, you do.
Anyways, what were you saying?
I have a brother 15 months younger than me, so our dynamic is the same as you and Sean. I'm the older one, he's the younger one in it. And
15 months?
Yeah, we're Irish twins.
You're pretty much twins.
Yeah.
My brother and I are 6 years apart.
Okay, fair enough. But the dynamic is there's the older one, and there's the younger one, and then there's the best friendship. Like, you guys get each other better than anyone ever will. They mean more to you than anyone ever will. So, to be called up on stage and to be a part of the literal brotherhood meant everything to me because I could relate to it. I could relate to how that felt. And then also the fact that so much of it was based around your dad. I felt like I was being called into this extremely meaningful, intimate family moment. And it meant everything to me because family means everything to me. You mean everything to me. Nation means everything to me. Sean means everything to me. My dad and my brother mean everything to me. So when I started talking, I got choked up too because the moment was just so much. It was like, it's incredible. I felt like I don't deserve to be up here, but my God, am I glad I am. And I'll tell you this. When we went out to play the man v man, and we were walking down 18 fairway.
It's still called the man versus boob playoff. When
we were playing the man v man, and we were walking down, and it was just the three of us, it was emotional. There was a feeling there. Sean put his arm around me. You were smiling ear to ear. We went out there, and on any other day, I probably would have shit myself having to play golf in front of people, and I had been drinking for 2 days straight. I'm in a coat that's 10 sizes too big.
It fits you pretty good.
Well, thank you. Which is why I'm on a diet. And it was just cool to be on that side of things, you know. Everyone's up at the green, but you're down where the magic is happening. And, I mean, I just want to tell you that it meant a lot to me. And I know that you like to joke about shit, but I refuse to joke about it because it meant everything to me. Family, nation, you, Sean, your dad, it was great.
And now you're done. You don't ever have a chance to win it again. So
right. And now I can just dick around and go for the boob, you know, and
yeah, don't make the man award become a curse, you know.
Right.
Don't become lesser of a man, become a better man.
There you go. You know what I mean? Shout out to Craig Dunlap, one of my favorite people in the world. Wonderful guest host. He won the man and the boob.
He's the only winner of both.
Yep. And what a great guy. I wish I got to spend more time with Craig, but Craig, he went, I wouldn't say out of his comfort zone, but he's a guy that's been playing with the same 3 people every single year.
He played 9 holes of golf.
That's
the most he's ever played in 9 years.
Yeah. But he was a great ambassador for the brand. Driving around in his cart, in his getup, being friendly with everyone. Love seeing Craig there. Only wish I got to spend more time with him. But let's talk about the playoffs. So the idea is 150 yards out. Sean and I each use 1 club, a 7-iron blade, and first one in wins. You had given me a stroke. The first shot.
And then you gave everyone else a stroke.
Yes. Yeah. The first shot that I took, it took so much turf out of the ground that you said, without missing a beat, "God damn it, Hawk, a coyote's going to sprain an ankle tonight." And then said Indian Wells.
Sometimes I surprise myself with the shit I think of.
And then you said Indian Wells called, they want their golf course back. Because I took about all of it with that.
That was a massive divot.
Yeah, I never take them, so look at that. Yeah. And the ball went about 20 yards.
Yeah.
And I knew, like, right then, nothing special is happening for me here other than being a part of it.
You did go bunker to bunker, which was a nice touch.
Yeah, thank you.
You know what I mean?
Sean hit a peach up to the front of the green. He made 4 with 1 club from 150 out, which is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
He
almost as impressive as my performance at Lake Forest Golf Course a few weeks back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where you beat me with 1 club.
Yeah.
Lost my mustache.
Yeah.
But that was great. Embracing with you guys afterwards was awesome. I took my Hirachis off to hit some bunker shots and got a lot of people who were very grossed out by my feet because I have some long toes.
Little eagle talons?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And people are like, "Damn, you got some long-ass toes, man. Those are some ugly-ass feet."
Your foot's a 9, but you wear 11 because of your toes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Tony Baccardi, for some reason, decided it would be a good idea to bet $1,000 on me winning that.
It was a passion bet, and it should make you feel good because of how he feels about you. It was ill-informed, not by how bad at golf you are, but how good at golf my brother is. Had he known that, he probably would have pulled back the reins on his bet a little bit.
Right.
Because had I heard him bet $1,000, I would have been like,
yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
You know.
And what does it say to you?
You probably needed 3 strokes against my brother. In all honesty.
Well, and I still would have lost by 1. Yeah. I made an 8, he made a 4. So I would have lost by 1.
And there's the handicap system. Shout out to the SCGA.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Southern California
Adam's
Golf Association.
Alma mater.
Yes. So one other thing I do want to talk about is I have completely gotten over my fear of playing golf.
I don't believe that one bit.
I really have.
Yeah,
I really have. And
well, in 3 or 4 years, I'll invite you back out to the powwow and we'll find out.
Okay. Well, I was hoping in 3 or 4 months I would get my invite to that, but we'll see. Go ahead, take another guy out there for 4 days, see if they're cool enough to hang out with for a week.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, so that fear is gone. I don't care anymore. I really don't care because I have finally come
What is there to care about?
Exactly, and I've finally come to terms with it, and it's freed me up completely.
If anything, with as competitive and self-centered as most golfers are now, you playing bad only makes them feel better.
Right.
So they're not judging you like, oh man, you should be better at this. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
If anything, they want to see you duff it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Makes them
So
feel better.
all you're doing is just helping people.
Yeah.
By playing like shit. The sooner one lets go of his expectations and poor demeanor on the golf course, the closer you are to nirvana.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Nice one, dude.
All right, so we've both spilled cigar ash on ourselves. Let me also say this too. I'm not annoyed or frustrated, but I'm absolutely done with people telling me, you own a golf company, you work for a golf association, you should be better at golf. Why don't you listen to what you just said? I have 2 jobs and 2 kids, and I'm not sitting at the damn practice range all day trying to get better. I play less golf than anyone who works in the golf space.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We're busy here.
Yeah.
And you know what? Golf is a fucking hard game. I'm not going to apologize for not being good at something that has literally melted down professionals before. I'm out there for a good time, and that's it. And if you want to say, hey, you should be better at this because you work in golf, I'm done caring about that.
The worse you are, the better your one good shot feels.
And there you go. Yes, well said. Well said. So the tournament wraps up. Man versus man is over. Everyone decides to hang out on the green for another 2 hours.
It's the best part.
It's the best part.
Under the starlight, they light up the mountains at Indian Wells. It's just the arrogance of man. I love every second of it. It's literally Disneyland.
Yep.
You know, it'd be like going on the Indiana Jones ride, and then when you're done, they're like, all right, we're going to shut this down. Everyone grab a cocktail and go lay down next to the big,
Matterhorn.
Yeah, you know, like let's just have some fun.
Right.
And man, there's a big release. Every year I kick the shoes off. I lay down in the cool grass, and I just stare up and try to shake some hands and stuff. But
we have a picture of that.
Yeah, it's a tradition, and man, does it feel good?
Yeah.
You know, it's like getting grounded. You know. And,
yeah.
It's just it's a beautiful end to a long, hard, wonderful day.
Yeah, absolutely. So the common refrain that we heard from everyone was, thank you, best event I've ever been to, can't wait to come next year. Which the first 2 things are true. The third thing...
We're entering into an era of struggle by ways of invites and entries.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. The demand is high. You know, we sell this event out in 30 seconds once the few final public spots become public.
Yep.
Unlike a lot of events that say this is going to sell out fast.
Yeah, and then keep saying it over and over again.
Over for weeks. Ours does, by the grace of God, and it's a big thanks to everyone who's involved. You know, just like golf in itself, golf would be a shell of itself if it was something that you went and played by yourself. You know, the fact that golf is so special is that you go and play with other people, and until you realize that that's the special part, you're really missing it. You know. Our guys don't miss that.
Right.
You know, everyone who comes to the Nation Desert Classic knows how special it is because it's about the guys.
Yep.
You know, and this is a tournament that celebrates the fellowship, it celebrates manhood, it celebrates everything that used to be celebrated in being a man in this day and age. And people come, they taste it, and they want more. And that demand is going to create a problem. It's going to be hard for us to navigate how to make everyone happy, and quite frankly, we're not going to be able to. We're going to work hard at trying to fulfill those problems, but it's an obstacle, and we're going to have to figure a way to do our best.
Yeah.
And that's all we can do. You know, there's a lot of guys who made it out this year for the first time, and that was very exciting. That being said, there was a lot of core group people who've been doing this tournament for over a decade who couldn't make it this year, who are still owed an invitation, and that's going to create a situation, you know? So I pray for everyone's patience and understanding in knowing that we have a tough job ahead of us, and like I said, and I'll keep saying, we're going to do our best, and you know what, can't make everyone happy. We apologize for that, but hopefully we can just celebrate those who can be there that year, and
Yep.
if you miss out, there's hopefully next year, and hopefully we can add more fun events. But I've always been taught, and I've learned from my grandfather, that if you take care of the guys will take care of you. And if you do make it there, just know that we're going to do our best to take care of you, and that's pretty much it.
Well, and here's the fact of the matter. The field was intentionally reduced from 144 to 120 this year, and we don't see any reason to go back to 144. We would love for 24 more people to be able to go. But the cost of that is that the play is a lot slower. So the quality of the event goes up by reducing the field. So 120 feels like the magic number right now. That means the field is smaller than it's ever been before. As you mentioned, there are people that weren't there this year that are definitely on the VIP list for next year. And another thing is, to take everyone behind the scenes is, yes, there are people that have been involved 5, 10, 14 years who get the invitation before the general public. So while we wish that everyone could come, it is the nature of it. If everyone comes, it's at the expense of the quality of the event. The event takes precedent, the core group after that, and then we try to include as many people. And that's not to say that anyone is more likable, more friendly, more important than other people. It's just this event has always been about taking care of the people that have taken care of us, and it will continue to be that way. So we hope everyone can come. Sign up when the sign-ups come out, and I think as the years go on, the public invites will be less and less, simply because that group of VIPs keeps growing and growing, and we met a bunch this year, people that are going to get invites before everyone else. As we wrap up, I did want to say this. The kids and wives being there, and you touched on this earlier, was one of the most special parts. It's funny, our favorite parts, I mentioned check-in, you mentioned the dinner, now we're talking about the kids and wives. None of it has to do with the golf. I've always felt the golf speaks for itself. It's Indian Wells Country Club. We don't need to sell you the golf. The golf is going to be great.
The golf is the excuse to get there.
Exactly. But looking out and seeing 15 kids on the hill on 18 after dinner, rolling down it, having fun, chasing each other in the bunkers, just laughing their hearts out, and the wives mixing it up with each other and other guys, it's not bullshit. This is a family event.
Rye Monson, last year's Man of the Year, him and his beautiful wife and his beautiful family, he sends me videos of his son at the driving range, and we were talking afterwards briefly about, he's like, isn't it crazy? I mean, one of these days soon, Vaughn's going to be in this thing, and that's crazy to think. I was a grandson of the original tournament.
Right.
And I played in the last 7 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Put that into perspective real quick, hopefully, God willing, I have a lot more years in the tank. And, I would love to continue to build this legacy so that it outlives any physical form that I have on this world. But there's an opportunity here for not only our sons to play in this, but theirs as well.
Yeah, which is incredible.
So that's, I think, something great to end this on.
Yep.
And I want to thank everyone who listened to this, who have no idea what the hell we're talking about. But a special thanks to those who enjoyed themselves, supported us, came out. Everyone behind the scenes, from Patrick to Justin, working the cameras and documenting the day. The classic gals checking everyone in. The wonderful staff at Indian Wells. Our growing board of governors. I know there's only a few of us that take funny photos, but there's a lot more people who actually help out. And it takes an army, and more importantly, it takes a family to run a tournament like this. And so, cheers to you, Adam, and your water in a cocktail glass, because he's off the sauce. He wants to be swimming in this jacket even more. But It was a great year. We look to many more. And thanks for listening. The rest of these silly shows will be right on cue in a short time. And yeah.
That's it.
That's
well
it.
said.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Boom. Nice outro.
Yeah.
That was sick.
Yeah.
Good job.